Alright guys, this is a good one. The quality is not as good as I was hoping for because the conversation was recorded on Zoom and there's a pretty serious storm going on outside. But I really want you to check it out regardless because Matt is an awesome dude. 1, 2, 3, check. 1, 2, 3, check. This is Effective Mindset Podcast, episode 30. And today is a special one. I have a guest with me today. Looks like another bad motherfucker, likes to get after it, which is something that I'm definitely into. So I figured, hey, let's make it happen. Let's have a conversation with this guy. And you know what? That's pretty much it on my end. I don't know what else to tell you. I think, from what I've seen to this date, from what I've seen so far, the guy is really impressive. But I think it best comes from him. Best he tells you all about it. So here we go. Hey, dude, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Happy to be on the show.
Thanks. Okay, so tell me a couple things about yourself. First things first, what's your name, how old you are, and what do you do? Maybe let's start with that.
It's Matt Reever. I'm in the guard and 21, and just driven to keep on improving and kind of see where that takes me. Set one goal at a time, achieving that, moving on from there.
Wow, that's awesome, dude. That's one thing that really is awesome. You're 21 and you already have figured out that you need to get things done one thing at a time, I'm 30 years old, and to be honest with you, it took me at least 28 years, out of which, let it be 10 years of adult life to actually, figure that out. And rather than taking shortcuts, rather than, having to fix more errors than actually get things done right at a first attempt. I literally fucked up more times than I could count throughout those 28 years, up until the time where I realized that one thing at a time, one step at a time. They haven't built Rome in a day. It all can be done, but it has to be done wisely. You have to take your time. You have to take a step back and look at a bigger picture. So that's already impressive. And you said you were in a guard, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service. I'm not from the U.S., but honestly, I have so much sympathy and I have so much, appreciation, admiration for anyone who serves. I never have, and now that I think about it, it was always for egotistic reasons, if you will. I was always focused on like, oh hey, I'm here for something important. I don't want to go and get shot, in war or whatever, and it was always very selfish and very narrow-minded kind of thinking. So now when I see someone who's 21 years old and you're already serving your country, you already know what you're after and you're getting after it. So that's literally, dude, that's the kind of people that I want to talk to on the podcast.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Being in the I'm going to do. Joined a little later than most people, and I kind of had similar reasons, I guess you could say, but definitely don't regret joining it a little later. I was in college and kind of had this self-improvement kick, kind of the stoics, and just skyrocketed my maturity and my self-reflection and all that development mentally, so it helped me in my career.
So what started it? Because I suppose how long have you been in the guard now?
A little over a year.
So let's say 19, 20, around that age, you knew already that you wanted to join, right?
Oh yeah, I was even younger than that when I wanted to join. I was really young, seen the Civil War reenactment, and from there I just had this aspiration to join. My grandfathers both served, so it was just kind of that,
Respect, dude. That's awesome. But yeah, look, when I was 17, I wanted to be a gangster. So you can see a giant difference, Like I literally had no fucking idea whatsoever what I wanted to do. I had no idea at all what I wanted to do with my life. I just wanted to have the money, I was like, okay, money is a good thing, that's what everybody wants. like I said, it took me 28 years to realize that, you know what, maybe money is not the top priority, because end of the day, you can have a lot of it, but if you don't have a lot of other things squared away, if you don't have your health in order, if you don't have your personal affairs in order, if you don't have your discipline in order, a lot of really those key values, then you can have all the money in the world and you're gonna be miserable. So, and I didn't have all the money in the world. I was just miserable as I was, trying to get as much money at the expense of everything else, and that just to me wasn't working. So when I see someone, you definitely didn't go after money when you joined the Guard, right? When you decided to serve, you definitely, it was not for the money reasons, I suppose.
Yeah, it just kind of fit in my mindset. Knew that it kind of, like I said, fit my mindset, and just seemed like the right thing to do. And like I said, it took me a little bit longer than most people, but I built a more stable foundation to go in there with than if I would have just jumped in there right after school. So.
I think that's a very good point. And by the way, shout out Jocko, Discipline Go. I can tell, I know from your Instagram that you are the brand ambassador for Origin Fuel and whatever Origin and Jocko Fuel. Tell me something about it, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, you use my code Reever10, and you'll get 10% with that. I love all Jocko's books. Read them all so far. Very interesting. Has a lot of great leadership principles that you can learn, take away from all that. The fuel line is great too. Great energy drink, supplements, everything. You're not only getting some solid products, you're also helping, American-founded company and Jocko and other Navy SEALs and stuff like that are associated with that.
There you go. You see, the reason why I wanted to mention that is because, and I am in no way affiliated with Jocko or his supplements or anything like that, other than, I'm a big fan myself. But I wanted to ask you, what got you into this, whole mindset of self-development and trying to be the best person you can be? Because in my particular case, and I'm going to to tell you briefly, because I've talked about this on pretty much every single episode of my podcast to this date. In my case, like I said, up until 2018, yeah, that'd be about 2018, so about 3 years ago, I was quite a miserable guy. Like I said, I was, I didn't know what I was after. I definitely wasn't good with people, as in, I always had the skill, I could always find my way to interact with others, and to make good connections and so on, but I could never utilize that fully, I could never make the best out of that ability to make good connections with people. And I always felt like whatever I do, I'm only delivering about 30%, 40% of what I could be delivering for whatever reason, for maybe variety of reasons. But my issue were always the excuses, that's one thing that I could never figure out, that I always had someone to blame for something, whatever was happening, so circumstance, for the most part it was circumstances rather than other people, but very, very often I had a situation where I was facing some kind of an obstacle, I was dealing with some kind of a difficult situation, and rather than trying to figure out a way how to deal with it, or how to get around it, I was just looking at the excuses of why is something happening and why a good solution isn't provided, which in my case, it led to a point in my life where in 2018, my life really has shattered. It has, turned upside down. I ended up pretty much with nothing. I ended up pretty much on the street. I had nowhere to live for about 2 weeks, so it literally was a rock bottom for me at the time. And that was also around the time when I started to listen to the Jocko podcast. So in my case, the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this is because, I want to see someone else's perspective who is significantly younger than me, than I am. But at the end of the day, it seems like you already have gone a little bit further when it comes to this, at least peace of mind with, being at ease with yourself, knowing where you're going, what you're after. So in my case, like I said, the two people that really turned my life around or helped me turn my life around were Jocko and Joe Rogan. Actually, the other way around. It was first Joe Rogan because I've been listening to him for years already. And then I listened to the episode 721. Shit, I don't remember that. But it was with the first episode with Jocko. And I was totally blown away, And then I started listening to, then I think I listened to the one with Tim Ferriss. And then I started listening to Jocko podcast. And man, seriously, I'm like, I think 600 hours in, maybe 700 hours in, But it literally, it is mind-blowing, and it never gets old, people say like, oh yeah, it's all the same shit, it's, leadership, and it's also like self-development, and I'm like, yeah, it's not like you're gonna listen to a 3-hour podcast and you're fucking good to go for the rest of your life. You need to, it's like, you need to keep working on it. So tell me how what you think about it.
So, to get me started, so I was always active. Years, so being active wasn't as really hard to delve into. I had interest in, so loved just getting after it. But I started getting into stoicism, and that kind of kicked the mental aspect, philosophy side of self-improvement and everything like that. And then obviously naturally I fell into Joe Rogan more and more. And the next person exemplar that I took after was David Goggins, and reading his book, that kind of skyrocketed the mental toughness development and just going after more physically and everything like that, and not just growing the passion of self-improvement itself, but finding out the why to pursue that and to capitalize upon all that grew as I looked more into these people like Joe Rogan, different Stoics, and David Goggins, and then eventually Jocko Willink. And it grew this large, branch that of all the different aspects of self-improvement that there are. And I kind of broke it down into mind, body, and business. And mind and the body. And through mental toughness that you get with David Goggins, it just kind of skyrocketed from there. Ended up getting with Jocko Willink and developing the leadership skills that are very practical for the career side, so it all kind of intertwines whenever you're pursuing all this. So big kick with all those. To add to that list would be Jordan Peterson, very smart guy.
That's very true.
In Toronto. So, and there's a lot of good sources out there for sure in regards to self-improvement, but those would be for sure for me personally.
Okay, 1 second.
Sure.
You know what? I agree 100%. These dudes that you just mentioned, so Joe Rogan, Jocko, David Goggins, Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is one of my favorite people on the whole planet. I seriously, I am so thankful for this dude, and I was I was actually quite stressed out about his health when he was in Russia, over the past over a year, I think, due to some health reasons. So I'm really, really happy that he's back. And he seems to be doing fine, and and he seems to be just as strong as he always has been, and we need people like that. I could throw in a few more people to the bunch. I could definitely add Russell Brand to that. I don't know if you know who that is. He's an English guy, like a comedian, entertainer. He's got his own podcast, but it's a little bit more woo-woo, than all these guys. These guys are 100% legit, whereas Russell digs into more spiritual side and all that. And to me, it's all about just finding, because everything, like I said, like I said to you in a message, everything that I talk about on the podcast is recycled knowledge. I don't know anything. I have never ever come up with an idea of my own. When it comes to anything that I talk on a podcast, it's all conclusions that I've come to. Based on whatever research I've done, which is, the podcast that I listen to. So if it wasn't for Jordan Peterson, if it wasn't for Jocko, if it wasn't for people with common sense, people who literally execute common sense, implement it into every single thing they do, we would be absolutely fucked. I don't know how you feel about this, but this is literally how I see it. Like, tell me what you think about what is going on. For example, Kyle Rittenhouse trial, again, we got the Antifa and BLM and all that nonsense, right? We got the last year's riots and all that. How do you feel about that as someone who serves your country? Like, honestly, what do you think about that?
I think with a lot of political things, I know with a lot of political things, there's a lot of ignorance and closed-mindedness within more people than there should be. And it's a shame because there could be, facts put out that would conflict their beliefs or the reason why they're being ignorant in the first place, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then to change their views because it goes against their ego, right? And I think that's the problem. And it kind of goes into Jocko and his reasons behind what leadership problems in itself is ego and people not wanting to admit when they're wrong and instead attaching to their opinions to a core level of that's who I am, this is and everything. And so they just have to defend that to the last breath, if you will, and it can create some problems. So it all comes down to individually, and it creates problems.
Do you think it could have to do with yes, because obviously one of the issues is the fact that people for whatever reason, they cannot stick their head out of their own ass and just look around and see how ridiculous whatever they're doing is, right? Because that's all it is. It's like it all comes down to ego. I can tell from my own experience that ego usually was the cause of most of my issues with whatever I had to deal with, whatever problems I ever had, for the most part, as long as, those were had anything to do with me, and they always do. It usually comes down to how you handle things, and if you let your emotions take the lead, if you let your ego play the first hand, then it's never ever gonna end well, unless you deal with a bunch of morons, and you cannot expect of people to always be them. There is this saying that I don't know how exactly it goes, but I'd rather set my expectations of other people low, because I'd rather be nicely surprised than badly disappointed, something like that, right? I don't necessarily agree with that. I do set my expectations of other people not as high as I used to, because I just always used to expect, the gold standard from everyone around, and that's just not how people operate. Not everyone is into being their best themselves, the best version of themselves, and anything like that. So I think it's important to expect a lot from people, but at the end of the day, be realistic. Don't expect from everyone to be the top performer, and ego usually gets in the way. And as soon as you can put that aside, as soon as you can actually focus on those more important factors, such as competence, such as actually knowing what you're doing, common sense, all of that. And humility, most of all, actually trying to to look at things from a humble point of view, detach from the emotions. Then you're gonna make a rational decision. Then you are maybe not going to do what everyone in your herd wants you to do, but you are going to do the right thing. And that's exactly the problem with these people. Like, ego is one thing, but I think I don't know if that's how you see it also, but I think also the herd mentality could have something to do with it. You know, the peer pressure, the fact that, you know, those people are kind of discouraged from changing their point of view because that is discouraged. That is not something that is they don't encourage that. That is not something that they support because they have their ideologies and they aren't really into questioning those ideologies. You know, whereas in my case, yeah, I do have my set of beliefs, you know, and principles and so on, but I am always welcoming whatever, you know, questioning or anything like that, so that I could maybe change my mind. I am very much into changing my points of view if it is for my own good and someone else's good, you know, and that's the thing. Like, I am not into, you know, dogmas, if you will. I am not into beliefs that are just, you know, set in stone because someone set it in a fucking stone. You know, I'm more into, like I said, common sense, and that's the problem that people have. That, you know, if you operate in a crowd where emotions take the lead and everybody's pissed off, everybody's rioting and looting and, you know, and screaming that Black Lives Matter, you know, and Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer and all that nonsense, right? It's difficult when you're in the moment and you're part of the crowd, right, part of that herd. It's difficult to disconnect from that and say, like, hey, guys, can you just take a look around and see what the fuck we're doing here? Because it's a little bit ridiculous, you know. I don't know if you would agree, but I think that is one of the issues, you know, that's just the peer pressure, you know, the herd mentality, that you know, people just can't let that go, you know. People just can't focus on themselves, you know. If you want to fix the world, start with yourself. That's how I see it, you know. Hold on a second. Something. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that last part you said definitely should be broadcasted more out there. Is that, like, if you want a better community, you have to work on yourself because you're a part of that community, and by improving yourself, you set that example. So,
look,
it's an interesting aspect, and it's true that if and it goes into leadership, you know, by working on yourself, setting that influence, the change that you want to have be made in the community that you're in.
So you agree that, you know, that if you wanna, like I said, if you wanna fix the world, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I'm you know, I'm not into extremist ideologies such as, you know, some people who want to fix the world and turn it into a communist, whatever. That's not what I'm into. I'm into, you know, I am definitely into what America, for example, used to be pre-COVID, you know. That was always my destination point. I always wanted to go there when Trump was president. Maybe not, you know, but maybe there's a lot of things to question about the guy again, you know. Maybe not the ideal guy for the job, but hey, of all, you know, the history that I can remember, I think he's done the best job, you know, and really it was starting slowly to look like the place where I really want to end up. And now, you know, with everything that's going on, with Sleepy Joe and, you know, in office, and and phony Kamala and all that, you know, horrible stuff. I think it will take a long time, because obviously now this is just temporary, but I think it will take a long time before we get back on track, you know, before America gets back on track. And are you with me? It looks like I've lost you, like I've lost the video.
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
First, cut out.
Okay, hold on.
Can you hear me?
With my...
I can hear you now. Yep.
Alright, can you hear me now?
Nah.
Okay, that's something's wrong with my internet. Hold on just a second. Okay, you can still see me now. It looks like my my phone just started cooking. And don't ask why, but I'm using my mobile internet for this, because the weather is so horrible here that the Wi-Fi is just dead.
But yeah, I was talking about how it looks like it's freezing again. Hold on just a second. Alright, I'm gonna try and connect with another network. Right, how about now? Can you hear me now?
You sound a lot better.
Okay, yeah, okay. Looks like I had to connect with the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi wasn't working at all when I was trying to make it work like 3 hours ago. It didn't work at all because we got a storm in England. But yeah, so I was talking about the situation in the U.S. how bad it has become over the past year, and that Sleepy Joe has been in office, and really it used to, like I said, it always used to be my destination point. It always used to be the place where I wanted to go, spend my life pretty much. Because I'm from Poland originally. I've been living in England for about 10 years now. But I don't want to go back to Poland, also because of the politics over there. It's really bad, and it's not getting any better, and it doesn't seem like I could do anything about that. It's just corrupt, and it's just not a nice place to be. It's a nice place to go if you want to go on a nice holiday, and not spend a lot of money. But other than that, it's really if you want to live there, then you better have your thing going on and prepare. That is going to be a hard life because it's just different, So, like I said, right now, as much as the U.S., let's say for example, I don't know, Texas or anywhere up in the mountains, Colorado, anywhere, there's always a destination point. Now it's a little bit of a stretch because now it's like, what is going on? Like what's next? What are you prepared to do next? Like what do you got going on? Like this service and guard, right? How long is that supposed to take? Like what's coming after that?
I mean, like just goals I have set.
Is it military?
Potentially, yeah. Short-term goal, I got a big ruck coming up.
Okay.
It's gonna be a 26 miler, so it's gonna be gotta earn that one for sure. There's a lot of little milestones from here and there between that, longer ones. I don't know. I take up a lot of any training opportunities that I can. I like any school possibly get into, and just develop myself in different ways like that. Anything tests my ability is kind of just all over. If I can find the orientate in that direction, I'm all for that. Like this 26-month ruck, it's pretty nice to train up for that. And yeah, but you got anything coming up?
Well, I've asked specifically. I've mentioned those, the situation in the U.S. that what's going on, specifically because of that. Because in my case, this has been consuming most of my attention for the past year and a half. Ever since the outbreak. It really, because whatever the United States do first, the rest of the world then follows. It has always been like that, and I think it's a good thing because generally the U.S. really leads by example when it comes to a lot of things. Maybe not when it comes to the banking industry, in the big pharma, but that's not a good. Neither one of those institutions is good anywhere in the world. So so we're kind of screwed when it comes to that. So when it comes to anything else, when it comes to personal freedoms, when it comes to the Constitution, when it comes to fundamental values, U.S. really sets the bar really, really, really high. And most of the world already is absolved of the freedoms that you guys have over in the U.S., and so that to me is something that literally blows my mind. The fact that, for example, in England you cannot have a concealed carry for self-defense. You cannot carry. You cannot own a gun whatsoever. You cannot even have a gun at home in case someone breaks into it and tries to assault you or rob your stuff or whatever, you know. So that already to me is quite terrifying, you know, given that England has a really high crime rates, you know, there is nothing the civils can do about it, nothing people can do about it, you know. So this is one of those things that really need to be protected, you know, in the US, for example. And to me, you've asked me what I have planned for the next, I don't know, what I have planned next, right? I am currently writing a book about the ridiculousness of you know, living in here and how I see things over in the US. So it's going to be a little bit of a mix, you know, about common sense versus whatever's going on here. And so that's what I have going on. Also the podcast, which you know, the podcast, I started it, I was like, you know, I also said that quite a lot of times on the podcast already in the past, but when I started it, I was pissing out of my ass, you know. I literally didn't know what I was doing. I just started recording it on my iPhone. I just wanted something where I could talk freely about how I feel, you know, about things that frustrate me, and just starting slowly break things down so that I could work them out, you know, so that I could understand them better. Just analyze things, whatever, right? So it started as a pretty frustrating project. Now it actually makes me quite happy whenever I publish an episode, because I actually do what I like to do, you know. But I am still nowhere near when it comes to, you know, the audience numbers. I am still nowhere near when it comes to the overall quality of the podcast to where I want to be. So what I have planned next is pretty much working on this, you know, the book, the podcast, and just, you know, working out really. That is something that I do just so that I can feel better mentally, you know. The better physically you feel, the better mentally you're gonna feel. That's just how I see it, you know. I can tell that you're pretty much in good shape, so obviously you know something about it. I saw on your Instagram that you do some MMA. Tell me something about that.
A little bit. Like what?
Like Muay Thai, or what's your martial art? What's your poison? What's your thing?
I actually have a goal of going to Thailand at some point and actually training a legit Muay Thai camp, because that'd be badass.
Awesome.
But you know, that'd be a cool experience. Backtracking real quick, I do like how you mentioned, like, just starting out. Like, you didn't have the equipment or anything to start your podcast, but you just did it. And I think that is a topic that needs highlighted for any, you know, viewer in any aspect, whether that's making writing a book, working out, any kind of goal, is that you're not going to have the equipment. And then just starting is the essential staple of getting there. You know, you start and then you figure out what the hell you're doing, you know. And that's just, I like that you brought that into this.
But look, I think this is a key, really, like a key thing about whatever it is that you do, right? Look, you can come up with a million different theories, right? Million different scenarios, okay? You can plan it from 1,000 different angles, okay? Whatever it is that you want to do, right? Whether it be a podcast, whether it be writing a book. You know how long I've been planning to write a book? I shit you not, for about 10 years, okay? So after 10 years, I just started writing it, and I literally started writing it, and I've written about 150 pages so far, and I just sit there and write, you know. We are obviously a little different when it comes to our careers and so on. You know, you serve. I, on the other hand, smoke weed and record the podcast. So that's a totally different career path. But at the end of the day, whatever it is that you do, if you don't implement discipline into it and just get on with it, then you're, you know, good luck doing anything. You know, I've been an accountant, right? I've been an accountant for since 2014, so about 7 years, okay, out of which actively I've been doing the job for about 4, maybe 5. And it was one of the most soul-sucking, one of the most soulless, lifeless experiences that I've ever had, right? It made me some money, okay, looking at numbers all day long and trying to make some kind of sense out of them, trying to translate some ridiculously complex financial data into something that someone outside of a finance function could understand, someone who doesn't speak the accounting language could understand, so anyone in the company. So it sounds pretty boring. It wasn't actually boring because it was quite a hardcore brain training, but end of the day it wasn't anything that I was really interested in, anything that I really wanted to do. It was just something that I saw as a substitute of working at the warehouse, right, where I've also spent quite a few years, doing all kinds of physical work. So including heavy lifting, including almost breaking my back, and all kinds of ridiculous incidents and so on. So I have no adversity towards any work whatsoever. When I have to go and roll up my sleeves and get the job done, then I'm gonna do that, right? I'm not gonna just sit and bitch about like, this isn't something that I do. No, if it needs to get done, I'm gonna get and fucking do it, right? I'm gonna get it out of the way. If I have something to do that I don't want to do, that's the first thing I'm gonna do, just so that I don't have to worry about it, so that I don't have to occupy my mind with it. Something that's on my mind, something that's really like inconvenient, something I really don't want to deal with, that's the first thing I'm getting out of the way, and that I can get on with my day, whatever else I got going on. And that was the case with the book, right? And that was the case with the podcast. And like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. I had like maybe 100 views, right, 100 downloads of my first 10 episodes for about a year, right, and only then it started picking up the pace last year when the whole pandemic started, and I actually ended up with a lot of time on my hands. So I was like, you know what, I'm sitting at home, I'm not working, it's a lockdown, right, everything's locked down, everything's put on hold, right, so I literally have no reason not to do what I wanted to do, which is, do the podcast full time, right? And I don't know how much it has been working out in terms of full time, because this is only the episode number 30. But end of the day, I didn't set a goal to make like 2 or 3 episodes per week. I just set a goal to make it consistently, so that I do not lose my focus, so that I don't lose my sharp, okay, if you will. And so that's it. And right now it's like with working out. Okay, I'm 145 pounds, so I'm not I'm not a big fella, but I work out almost every day. Okay, because I want to maintain good physical, good physique, right? Good physical shape, so that I can feel good mentally. Because when I feel good mentally, then I can focus on my work and I can do it right. And it's like, what have I got planned? Definitely Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Probably some kind of MMA is generally what I'm interested in. Whether it be Muay Thai or whether it be kickboxing or MMA in general. Just some kind of workout like that. Because I do know the basics, but the basics, for example, I'm a white belt in Taekwondo, okay? So I do know the very essential stuff, right? But that's it, that's not a lot, So that is something that I want to improve. But when it comes to me 3 years ago and me now, for example, and where I see myself in the next 3 years, I have made a giant progress over the past 3 years when it comes to my mindset, when it comes to how I see things, how I operate, purely because I started implementing discipline into my life, and that's it. Things that I don't want to do, I just fucking do them. Things that I don't feel like doing today, I'm still gonna do them because because I'm not a little bitch, because I've been a little bitch for 28 years and it hasn't been working out. So so now if I have to go and grab the kettlebell and do 20 reps or whatever, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do 20 more and 20 more and 20 more, and then I'm gonna start feeling better all of a sudden. I wake up as a little bitch and an hour later I'm all good. So whatever I got planned, I have definitely. I have to add some kind of physical, strenuous exercise to my, daily regimen, if you will. I've been thinking about martial arts, and I think that's the next thing that I'm gonna do.
Oh yeah, I like compared yourself to yourself, your past self. That's good. A lot of people get tied up with social media, and man, that guy's he's fucking deadlifting 400 pounds or whatever the case may be, or well, he didn't start there, but if you look back at your own self and see whether or not you're improving or you're not improving, then you can see the route in which got you to where you're at, if it's working or not. If it's not working, you need to change something, obviously, unless you want to keep going down that hill. Otherwise, and then you'll you'll get that incline. Obviously, with that incline, you're going to have to work harder. But you want at the top of that mountain, you're going to have to work harder, and it's worth that view. And it's guaranteed that it's worth that view because you work for it. So it's pretty interesting. It's all about what we want more, you know, whether we want that short-term comfort or if we want to see it from the top of that fucking mountain, theoretically speaking.
You see, this is one of my favorite things also about the book. One of my favorite books, okay, which is this, Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual, right? So I'm sure that you got a copy somewhere down there, right? So there's that chapter that says, put the donut down. And that is literally so fucking legit, dude. Like, the moment you stop eating garbage, you are going to start feeling so much better. And that's one of those really fundamental things that you could do for yourself, you know, I see you drink the Discipline Go. I don't I had a kind of Monster this morning, okay? So I do cheat every now and then, and I had that, and I regretted it literally half an hour after I had it. Like, I knew what was coming, and I still had that sugar crash, you know. I had a can of Monster, I had the boost of caffeine for like 30 minutes, and half an hour later, boom, I'm literally falling asleep at my desk, and I'm like, fuck, it's like 8 a.m. or like 7:30 or something like that, you know. Like, what am I doing? So for sure, you know, when it comes to discipline, it's like, oh, people say like, oh, you know, discipline is such a chore, you know. It doesn't sound pleasant, you know. It doesn't sound like something nice, okay? So I found this meme recently. Someone said that a lot of times in my past, at least in my past that I have heard, and somehow it always escaped. And recently I saw this meme and I was like, oh shit, this is legit. So if you don't make time for your wellness, you're gonna have to make time for your illness. Okay, and that's that's it. So
I think what gets a lot of people is is that all the toxic shit is very convenient, like your Monster or anything else. Here, you could get one, you know. Whereas a lot of the healthy stuff maybe costs more, it's more frowned upon, either personally or through others. It takes time, and it kind of goes in what Goggins says that I love, is that like you have to be willing to be kind of like outcasted, you know. You gotta be looked upon as that crazy motherfucker that's doing that crazy shit. But, I mean, you just have to accept that, you know. That's part of the grind, part of the process, you know. You're gonna be uncommon. So.
Yeah, people are gonna make, people are gonna crack jokes about you, people are gonna say shit about you, people are gonna try and make you feel uncomfortable, because you make them feel uncomfortable, because you make them face the hard truth that they aren't fucking doing anything, that they aren't trying hard enough, and that all they do is opt in for this immediate comfort, right? And that I've been struggling with that issue throughout my life, like I love a good steak, okay, I love a good ribeye, or even a fillet, but my thing is a ribeye, okay, I like a good ribeye, like, batter seared, thrown in the oven for a few minutes, so that it's like medium rare perfection, right? But sometimes I'm too lazy and I end up with a fucking pizza or something like that, right? And so it is about that, like I said, I've been dealing with that my whole life, but there are people that I talk to, and people close to me, that I say to them, look, you eat fucking garbage, you eat fast food most of the time, you eat sweets, you drink Coke every single day, you drink too much alcohol and this and that, and I don't say it to be an asshole, I say it because I care about them, okay? And I'm like, look, it's not easy to give up on all these, immediate comforts, right? It's not easy to say, no, I'm fucking done with all this shit, but for your own good, you could try. And then I hear them saying, oh, but a steak is like 20 pounds, right? Or like $20, or like, and I'm like, so are you fucking telling me that you don't have $20 for a fucking steak, right? But you do have 30 for all this garbage that you end up eating with the fucking booze and everything else. So it's like, you tell me that the food I eat is expensive, but then you fucking end up blowing twice as much on garbage food and all that bullshit and cigarettes and fucking this and that. So it's like, depends on what you prioritize on, okay? In my case, I don't see it as something that is more expensive than a fucking cheeseburger at McDonald's, because to me that's not a comparison. To me those are two entirely different things. A healthy steak versus McDonald's, right? For example, so, to me, I would rather invest in my health, which is how I consider, food, which is how I see it, that's how I look at it. To me, it's about, you are what you eat, what you put in your digestive system pretty much makes you what you are, physically. Obviously including the exercise and everything else, healthy habits and so on. But if you eat McDonald's all day long and that's all you eat, then even if you have a phenomenal working out discipline and all that, right, then probably it's not going to do you much good. But if you combine, good diet with exercising and all that, then you will see the results. But people just don't want to fucking do it. People want that, six pack, and they want to have, 20-inch biceps and all that, but they don't want to put in the work. They just want to, swallow the pill. And they want it handed to them, but that's not how fucking life works. That's what people don't understand. That's why I, for example, love David Goggins also. And that's and a lot of other guys, because they actually understand that. They actually do talk about it all the time, and the problem is that maybe it is my problem, maybe it's not people's problem, because not everybody wants to be a bad motherfucker, right? But maybe the problem is that people don't want to listen. People just don't want any better. People don't. It's like with people who call me a conspiracy theorist, right? Now, a year and a half into the pandemic, because I still talk about some things that I question, right? I'm not talking about the earth being flat. I'm not a fucking conspiracy theorist in that sense. I'm a conspiracy theorist because I question the official narrative, okay? It's the same kind of people who don't want to improve. They have been given a certain narrative, a certain information, certain kind of information, and that's handed to them by the media, right? And as long as they don't question it, they're all good. Because, that's just it. It's convenient because it's handed to them. They don't have to do their own research. They don't have to think about it. There was an article recently about common sense, somewhere in New York Times or something like that, where the guy literally said, common sense is probably not the best thing to do or something like that, given these, conspiracy theories. So the guy advises you not to use common sense when you think about, people. And I'm like, where the fuck is this shit going? Like, what is going on here? Are people really that fucking lazy? And turns out that yes, people are. People just don't want to improve. So, so if someone doesn't want to listen, then you can try all your best, and you can try and convince them to eat, the healthiest diet there is, whether it be whatever, vegan or carnivore or whatever, right? But if they don't want to listen, they're not going to listen. It's like that with everything, I think,
I think a big reason why a lot of people not wanting to pursue that self-improvement path or, making those necessary sacrifices or anything like that, they don't have a why. They don't have a reason to. And there's a Goggins quote that we're going to keep referring back to him.
Go on.
Someone asked him, he was doing a run, and they asked him, like, why are you doing this? And he's like, because I'm not, And to further go into my point is that without a reason why to do it, small, seemingly insignificant sacrifices of, McDonald's burger for a steak or, a night out for working out in the gym. Without all that, there's no reason to for them. And you have to dig deep. You have to find that reason. And like we said earlier, it's about what you want most. And so people just don't want it. They just kind of want it. So
people don't know what they want, and when they are handed something that's convenient, like a TV set, with a bunch of channels, here's your fucking Netflix, your Amazon Prime, here's your whatever, right? Here's your Uber Eats or whatever, I don't know what you got in the US, but here you got like 5 different companies that deliver you food, and it's just. And I don't get me wrong. Sometimes, like the past week, I've been using them almost every day, and I try and then make up for it by cooking something in the evening. But I don't always have time for that. I don't always, Sometimes I have other things going on. I have helped someone else out or whatever, and I end up, eating takeaway food, right? Not necessarily fast food, but I'm gonna eat as well as I can. But I will end up using all those places. So maybe I am part of the problem, right? Thus, like I said, I'm no role model for anyone to follow whatsoever. But like I said, I'm trying to question these things because for me, the fact that we have all this convenience handed to us now, I get it. We live in technologically and I think and when it comes to a lot of different aspects, the best times ever, right? There is no fucking question about that whatsoever. Like, people who like to bitch about, good old days. Wait, what are you talking about, good old days? Well, get the fuck out of here. Like, good old days where there was no cars, no internet, none of that. No, we live in a pretty good time, right? So, the problem that I have with the present times is that idiocy, for example, idiocy on TikTok, idiocracy, whatever, on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere is being propelled, right? It's being like escalated. It's like it's being praised to such a high extent that it trumps everything else. For example, you get really talented people like, I don't know if you know who Joey is, Joey Borelli. He's like a comedian. He has an Instagram account where he mocks all these so-called influencers and all these idiots, right, who make stupid videos on TikTok and stuff like that. So yeah, check him out, Joey B. Tunes. But anyway, my issue is shit like that, like. Because that's I just realized why I was talking about him. Sorry, I had a bit of a Joe Biden moment. But yeah, so the guy talks about some really talented people who, for example, play a guitar, right? Some amateur, kid plays a whatever Nirvana song on a guitar, right? And he gets 400 followers on his TikTok. Whereas some stupid chick, 14 or 15-year-old chick who just does stupid faces to a camera gets fucking 20 million followers. And I'm like, dude, what is going on here? Like, the absolute lack of talent, the absolute zero talent versus the epitome of talent. And we're talking about 20 million views versus 400. We're talking about not even half a percent, we're talking about a fraction that the talented people get versus all the attention of everyone else. So there's a giant disproportion of how technologically advanced we are versus how many stupid fucking people there are out there, And I think some of the issues have to do with technological advancement. For example, we have all the social media. And again, I'm not into the good old days, and all that, because I'm, like I said, a great time to be alive. But I think there are some issues, such as, social media, that definitely should be addressed and something should be done about them,
Right. I wouldn't say so much that people are stupid, but their values are a little not proportionate with what would be best for, the longevity of, the future, as you could say. It would kind of go into, you see sports athletes and everything like that getting paid more than, first responders and stuff like that. Well, why that is because look at, who's supporting them. Everybody that buys a ticket. You know what I mean? So that goes into that. They're not necessarily dumb for being fans of that. It's just, that's kind of the way, psychologically and through society it plays out. And sometimes that's not for the best, but sometimes it just has to go. And to kind of rebound off what you said with constructive criticism,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes, well, at least what I've learned over time is that what's best, and it kind of goes into leadership, is just leading by example and setting that standard to be like, you might be that only person eating well, around everybody else that's dining out or doing that, or you might be the only person liking that post, that guy, with the actual talent, or the only person donating to this good organization or something. And just by doing that, you set a standard of, hey, this is what's right. I'm going to do it. You could do that. I don't believe in it. And if you ask me what I believe with what you're doing, there you go. You just asked for it. Otherwise, it's kind of like a monk mode type deal. You're going about, and it kind of goes in stoicism, focusing on what you can't control. And by doing what you can't control, you set inevitably an influence, right, through what you're doing. And it goes back into what we said about being that individual that influences that community. By doing what you're doing, that has some kind of subconscious influence around the others around you, because they're going to see you, they're going to notice that you're exemplifying a change, personally, and it's going to pique interest at some point. Like, that motherfucker now, he's a big motherfucker. He's healthy now. Like, what's he doing? You know what I mean? So, just doing that is a staple in the self-improvement process of just kind of, and it goes more into even being that driven, that you're so focused on your own goal and, climbing that mountain, whatever that mountain is, working on your podcast or doing whatever, and just being that driven, that focused, that it attracts the right-minded people.
You know what, dude? Holy shit, that's some right mindset right there. That's some effective mindset. That's what I call effective mindset, for sure. No, 100%. I agree with you. Look, I just have a really thin patience for I don't know how to call it, but you probably put it right. Maybe they're not stupid people. Maybe they're just people with shorter attention span or whatever. Maybe they're just people who got sucked into this rabbit hole of social media, and it is addictive. It does get it does work on your dopamine and all that, so it does for sure. It does stimulate certain receptors in the brain, so for sure that does have something to do with how much time people spend on social media. My issue is, on my Instagram, I don't follow any of that stupid shit, okay? I follow something that inspires me on a daily basis, something that I can question and things like that. But if you are only willing to, you can search a few things on your Instagram and you will find all sorts of idiocy, right? All sorts of like borderline stupid stuff. And that's my issue, that stuff like that gets so much attention because clearly too many kids are using social media for way too much, throughout the day, for way too long. And I think that is one of the issues, that we're having, that I'm having, okay? That, you probably have the best solution for that with what you said. There are things that are out of our control, okay? And for example, that always has been my issue with almost everything. If I hear of someone struggling, okay? If I hear of someone being in pain, if I hear of someone being in a miserable situation or someone's life turning upside down or whatever, and there is nothing I can do about it, I get immediately worked up. Like I get immediately something inside me. I feel this fucking, I don't know, discomfort. Like I feel really bad. Like if I feel hopeless, that's the worst fucking feeling in the world. Okay, I'd rather feel disappointed than hopeless. Okay. Whether it be disappointed in myself or someone else, I'd rather be fucking disappointed and then be able to do something about it, figure out a solution, than be hopeless and just watch shit unfold, right? But that is my internal struggle for as long as I can remember. But there are things that are out of my control, obviously, and there are things that could literally eat my brain alive if I let them, if I didn't pinch myself every now and then and was like, hey, keep your fucking shit in check, because you're letting all these things get under your skin, like in your head, and it's not good because they're destabilizing, and all that. So I try not to let that happen, but it's like with the right mindset, that you wake up with in the morning, right? You're not always going to wake up with the right mindset. You have to sometimes bang out 100 push-ups in order to feel better, right? In order to clear up the mental fog, whatever. So it's the same with feeling hopeless or helpless, in certain situations, in not being able to control everything, right? You're not going to be able to control everything. Some things will be out of your control, and some things you will have to wait for to unfold, or you will just have to react to them later. There are things that will be out of your control. You just need to focus on what you can do, and you need to do it to the best of your ability, and focus on making yourself the best possible human being you can be, and the rest, I think you are right about attracting the right people, Once you send out the right energy, you will surely start attracting the right people. And that's just the trick, you have to keep that all in balance. But it's not easy to keep these things in balance. But then, no one said it'd be easy. If anyone ever told you that it'd be easy, then they were fucking lying to you. That's 100% straight up. I can tell from my experience.
Absolutely. But worth it. It's that inevitable sacrifice that you got to be willing to make day in, day out. But not everybody wants it, so talk about what you want, more than what we don't. Find that motivation and exemplifying the people that we look up to, the value we want to pass on, the legacy we want to leave, all those things. Remember that why during the process, because it's going to get tough. It's going to get, it's the whole point, it's how we grow. It's through difficulties. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. So just going through that and not quitting when shit gets hard.
Yeah, that's for sure. And shit will get hard. This is the thing. Like if you expect an easy life, then there are paths to follow, right? And it's quite easy to have an easy life, that's for sure. But then you will pay the price as you get older. You will pay the price when the time comes, right? And that's one of those things that most young people don't realize. So I am really glad that you do, for example, because trust me, well, you probably know it already, but most people your age don't have a fucking clue that you need to focus on the now, because it will have an impact on the future. Most people who are 21, most people who are 30, right, most people my age, still live in a moment, right? Maybe not now in 2021 that that everything has turned upside down 20 times over the past 18 or 20 months, right? But for sure, I know a lot of people who still live on the edge, who are 30 or 30-ish, right? And they don't have anything figured out. They don't have a plan. They don't know what's going on, and they just react to things rather than take initiative, right? Rather than take the matters into their own hands, they just react. Whereas I am more into acting now rather than reacting. I am more into taking action, okay? So rather than be the sheep and follow, try and be the wolf, or try and be whatever, try and be the black sheep, try and just be you, okay? Don't try and... My main thing now, I don't know how you feel about this, but I can tell that you probably think alike. But I'll ask you in a minute. But my main thing these days is just focusing on me, like on what I do. Okay, again, I have the people that I follow, and that hasn't changed, a bit over the past few years, because it just works for me. Okay, I don't need to find a new role model or anything like that, because I have a few of them already, and I just take advice from them, and they don't even know that they give me advice. Neither one of them knows me personally, but I get everything that I need from them, right, in order for me to do my thing. And my thing now is focus on what I do. Don't worry about what other people are doing, because there will always be someone out there who will judge you. People will always judge you at the end, that's for sure. And at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? And and if you waste your energy on what other people are doing, then you will for sure regret that later, because you will wake up one day and realize, fuck, rather than doing my thing, rather than not giving a fuck and just, going ahead with it, I was actually concerned about other people's opinions, and to some extent we all are, and that's why, for example, we dress a certain way and so on, and there is nothing wrong with that, right, with wanting to make the right impression, or whatever, to present yourself in a certain manner, right, or have a certain, haircut or whatever, like, it's up to you, and and you should be able to express yourself, that's for sure. But don't fucking pretend you're someone you're not. Don't try and impress people just for the sake of them saying like, whoa, did you see this guy in those fucking designer shoes or whatever? To me, something like that, it's something just doing something just for the show serves no purpose, right? It's just like lying. Joe Rogan said that it gets in the way, and that's why he doesn't lie. And that's how I see things, like what's the fucking point doing something if you know that it's gonna bite you back? So the same with wasting my energy on worrying what other people are doing. Am I as successful as Jocko? No, but I have a fucking podcast, and two are so different from each other that I think that I can do my thing and he can do his thing, and we're gonna be just fine. You know, neither one gets in each other's in the other one's way or anything like that, right? It's the same with, like, if I decided to start doing martial arts now, right, or running or whatever. Am I competing with you in any way? Not at all. You still do your thing, I can do my thing. I can look at you and learn something from you, right? And that's the best I can do. But there's no fucking point looking at what Joe Rogan's doing and sitting on my ass and thinking like, oh shit, I will never have a fucking archery, and I will never have Cameron Haynes teach me how to fucking bow hunt and all that. Well, maybe not, but I can fucking do my thing, right?
Not with that mindset, definitely not.
Yeah. So you know, so that's how I see it. Like you that's why I started the podcast, right? That's probably why you joined the guard. You know, I wanted to start somewhere. Maybe that's what you wanted to do, you know, your whole life. Maybe you are just at a starting point. I have no idea. I'm just saying, like, in my case, I was doing this fucking soulless job at the office, right? Sitting literally at an office surrounded by people. Every one of them was miserable as a motherfucker. Neither one of them wanted to be there. Neither one of those fucking people at the office was doing anything they would do in their own free time if no one was paying for them. Right now, by doing my podcast, I might not have a sponsor and be making money or whatever, but I am doing something that I want to be doing, and it will definitely benefit me moving forward. I may not make money on every single episode, but there might come an episode that might make me a fucking £1 million or dollars. But if I don't continue doing this, then I will never find out. Then it will only remain a theory, right? So that's the thing. That's to me is the magic trick, you know, that combination of, first of all, discipline, and second of all, having your goals set, having your objectives set, right? Your set of objectives, whatever, and following them. And 3, just again, putting all your energy into whatever it is you're doing and making sure that you are doing the right thing. Because if you feel like you're stuck in a job that you hate doing or that you wouldn't do if someone wasn't paying you for it, then what are you doing? Like, I don't believe in reincarnation and all that stuff. You know, I don't believe in I just think the lights go out one day. You know, I believe that there is something now. You know, some higher power for sure. I don't know if I would call it God or whatever. For sure there is something. Okay, I just call it universe. Let's say, and we are just part of it. But I don't necessarily think that once, you know, the lights go out, that my consciousness travels to another body. I think we get one shot. So we better do the best we can to live the life we want to live, or as close to how we want to live it, because there is no guarantee that we get another shot. So what's the fucking point wasting time, you know? That's just how I see it.
Absolutely. Beginning with a Jocko quote here: ignore and outperform.
There you go, yeah. Prioritize and execute.
Like it. It's a good chat with you, man.
Yeah, look, Matt, thanks for your time. Lovely chatting with you. And sorry about the quality issues. For whatever reason, we have a pretty bad storm. And like I said, the connection is a little bit dodgy, but I have heard most of what I needed to hear. Look, if you want to do this again sometime, then I might have a different setup worked out by that time, so it might be a little bit more, a little bit better audio and all that. But tell me, just before you go, any social media, anything that you want to share? That code, just yeah, to the few followers that will hear this, someone might actually visit the store. So once again.
Yeah, you got my Instagram is sculpting_a legacy, one word, and you probably put that in your caption or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And again, the origin store, the Jocko Fuel store.
That'd be REEVER 10 Reever 10, and you get 10% down on Origin products or Jocko Fuel products.
Awesome! I think I'm gonna type that code and I'm gonna get myself some something. That works for the U.S. I suppose. Yeah, the 49 states or whatever. Or is it global?
I don't know if it's global. I mean, it'd be about trying. I know it's through their main website. Okay. So.
Right. Just before you go, one question. So, you a family man, or you fully committed to the service at the moment?
I guess you could say fully committed to the service.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, just going with flow in a sense.
That's awesome. All right, dude. Look, thank you very much for your time. Take care of yourself, and yeah, discipline equals freedom. I agree with that motto on your T-shirt, 100%. And yeah, dude, you're an awesome dude. Seriously. Thank you for your service, and keep getting after it. And shit, we need more people like you, man. For real. Seriously, we need more people like you, because if you are the next generation, and you are the next generation, people your age in 20 years will be running for office. So we need people who got their shit together and who are getting after it, and again, I'm talking recycle sentences and all that, but but that's all I know, and like I said, it's been working for me, and I think it works for most people as long as they start implementing it,
100%. Well, I appreciate all that. It's great being on your show, man. Take care.
Thanks. Cheers. Over and out. Take care of yourself.